Hello and welcome to the third episode of She Is the Moment. I hope you are having a wonderful week. It is an absolutely glorious day today in Glasgow. If you're listening to this, I'm recording this on the 18th of September. So it has been such a weird summer in Glasgow. It has been non-existent. We'll get a day of intense sunshine followed by a week and a half of rain. And as a keen gardener, that has not been good for my garden. My plants, my vegetables are all very, very confused. I've got some pumpkins growing and I've got some courgettes growing. I don't know if you've ever grown a courgette, but my courgettes all look like, you know, when you get those people that do balloon animals and they're like pumping up the balloon and the balloon is only halfway filled and half of it looks like a big fat sausage and the other half is completely unfilled. That's what my courgettes look like right now because of this really confusing weather. But you know what? I'm really happy because it's a gorgeous day today. So today's freedom win of the week is mine. I am about to have such a wonderful day. I got up relatively early because I'm going out for lunch with my friend today. He was actually my first ever PT client and I made him faint twice in the first week because I was so nervous. This was 12 years ago. I was a baby PT and he was my first ever PT client and we're still friends. We're still friends. Isn't that lovely? So yeah, we're going out for lunch today. This morning, I got up early so I could do some work. I'm recording a podcast. And then tonight, I'm going for an open water swim because it's a gorgeous day. I live really near a loch and there's a really great loch. I'm saying that proper Scottish. Really great loch near me for open water swimming. It's probably going to be really busy tonight, but isn't that just a wonderful day? Like, had a lovely morning with my toddler, did some work, recording a podcast, going out for lunch, and then having an open water swim. That to me is literally me living the dream life. I'm so, so grateful. See, anytime that I can do anything during the day in the middle of the week, I just like give myself that little remember that most people can't do this. Remember that most people work 9 to 5s and that I can just go out. I can just go out for lunch on a Wednesday. It's bloody great. It really and truly is fabulous. What else has been going on for me? I have been seeing a lot of comedy recently as well. Like, I am really into stand-up comedy. I think more broadly, I'm just really into performing, watching talented people perform. And I also love people who are very clever with words. I'm really into rap and poetry and reading. Like, I just love absorbing when people are really good at communicating in a very clever way. And for me, comedy really encapsulates that. I just don't think there's anything more clever than standing up and making a whole room full of people laugh. So I've been seeing a lot of comedy recently. I saw Northern Irish comedian Shane Todd. He is, I think, one of the best comedians alive right now. He has been doing stand-up his entire adult life. He started when he was 18. He's now 36. I do notice that, as I said, I absorb and I watch a lot of comedy. He does seem to have like a real experience and confidence, and he is just so talented and so quick. So yeah, I went to see him a couple of weeks ago in Glasgow, and on Friday I'm going to see Fern Brady. I love Fern Brady. She is a Scottish comedian. Fern from Bathgate is her name on Instagram. She's also got a really, really good book called Strong Female Character, which I recommend because it's a book all about finding out as an adult that she is autistic. And it's also just really funny because she's had a very spicy and interesting life. So I would highly recommend that. Another couple of things that I've been doing is I've been reading a lot recently, and I will give you some really good book recommendations. Yellowface is a really interesting and funny and like I was proper hooked from page one. It's a book about writing and being an author and plagiarism. and it's very much like set in the modern day, so there's lots of reference to social media. I think that this book in particular will tie in with what I'm going to be talking about today, because in this book, I'll just tell you what happens at the very start. It's not a spoiler. Two writers, two like friends. One of them is very, very, very successful, like super successful, and one of them is not. She's written a book and it's been a bit of a flop, right? She's very jealous of the super successful writer. The super successful writer is Chinese American, and she dies in a really tragic accident. And the girl that's left behind is in her flat and steals her manuscript for her next book, right? Now, the manuscript for the next book is about very specific Chinese history and Chinese culture. And the girl who steals the book, she steals it, rewrites it. She's white, American. She steals it, rewrites it a little bit, and then releases it. And people love it. It's like a massive hit. But she is very quickly found out for plagiarizing, for stealing someone's book. And then the rest of the book is all about, there's a lot of like discussions of cancel culture and social media and being popular in social media, being not popular, being attacked, being judged. And one of the really strong messages in it, there's one point where someone says to her, most people aren't on social media. And sometimes that can be such a stark reminder to us. Most people aren't on social media, right? So most people don't have any clue. See this little tiny situation that you can be so bogged down in. It feels like there's thousands of people talking about something, or there's a drama going on online. Most people don't know anything about it, which is actually so important to remember. So she has this friend who's like, literally just put your phone away for a bit. And she can't do it. She can't do it because she's addicted. But I just think that that's quite an interesting book. I highly recommend it. And it will lead me on nicely to my topic for today's podcast, which is dealing with judgment in business. Now, I've been a business coach for almost a year now, and I would say most of my clients have dealt with this at some point and have worried about what other people think, what their friends and family think, what other coaches think, what people who are maybe slightly ahead of them that they look up to within the industry think. And what it does is it stops them from posting. Like, that's the worst case scenario. It stops them from speaking authentically and saying what they really think. And it sort of cripples you because it makes you think, oh, like you create content and you post through this small frame of what will they think? You always ask yourself this question, what will they think about this? Will they like it? Will they not like it? Will they call me out? And that can be a huge barrier for a lot of people in actually just starting their business and posting, is that they worry that someone's going to call them out. Someone's going to think, who does she think she is? Like, she's going to help people with their health and fitness? Like, is she really qualified to be doing that? Should they really be the person that we're spending that money on? Like, they're charging that amount? What is going on? So you're worried about all of these things, and it is literally stopping you in your tracks. And the really harsh and sad truth of it is that it is stealing money from your bank account. Another thing that it can stop people doing is actually helping their dream ideal client. So who you're speaking to isn't necessarily who you want to help. And this will be the case if you have a lot of clients right now that you actually don't enjoy working with, that are a real slog. They're full of excuses. They are full of reasons why they aren't getting results. And quite often they'll blame you rather than actually taking ownership. And that's because you're too scared to ask more of people on social media. Your messaging right now is speaking to people who have all those excuses because you're like, do you know what? It's okay to do something. Something is always better than nothing. Imperfect action, guys. Come on, it's all about imperfect action. Meanwhile, you at home are never missing a session. You are on top of your nutrition. You are super organized so that you can have a business and exercise and run your home and do all the other things that you need to do. But you apologize for that because you're worried about offending people. I have an example of this. I have a client who her niche was working with shift workers before she started with me. So shift workers, she's a shift worker herself. She works for the NHS. The reality is that she's actually not like most shift workers, not like the other shift workers, because, well, I don't know. I've never been a shift worker. I imagine it's really, really tough. Like I've heard from her, it's really tough. I imagine that it would be really hard to stay on top of like eating healthily, especially when you are dealing with lack of sleep. I imagine it's really hard to motivate yourself to exercise. Now, despite that, this client of mine was always on it. Like she would be bringing out her Tupperwares at 3 a.m. on shift with her like balanced high protein meals. She would be like coming home from her shift and exercising and then going to sleep. That was what she was doing. But she wasn't sharing that on social media. She wasn't telling people that that was what her life was like. Instead of what she was doing was saying, oh, do you know what, guys? Like, I'm struggling too. I'm like, oh, my life is chaos. My life is chaotic. Like, oh, I'm really stressed. I'm really tired. And she was almost coming across as a bit of a hot mess. Now, I know her and I'm like, you're not a hot mess. This isn't you. This isn't you. And the thing is, she was actually bringing in people who were like enjoying being spoken to like that. They were like, yeah, you're right. Like, my life is really hard. Like, my life is really tough. And they would love this idea of imperfect action. They'd be like, do you know what? I grabbed my dumbbells and I went into the living room and I did like one set of squats. But do you know what? Is that okay? And she'd be like, yeah, that's okay. Knowing fine well that she would never accept that for herself. So she shifted from speaking to shift workers because it shifted from shift workers. She felt like that's not me. Like, I'm a shift worker, but it's not like the only interesting thing about me. It's just like one thing that I do. And started speaking to a whole nother ideal client, someone who was a bit more like her, someone who, yeah, they had these challenges in their life. They had a lot of plates spinning, but they didn't ever let that hold them back. Yeah, let's admit that they did have some issues. It wasn't like we're not speaking to someone who is like totally smashing it already because like they don't need your help. Obviously, she's going to help them with something, but they weren't someone who was like at their last ebb. Like, you know, people who have like such a range of problems, like, and actually you can't fix those problems. They kind of need a therapist. You're a coach. There's only so much you can do. So as soon as you started speaking to someone who was maybe struggling with a few things, like they knew what they were capable of though, they really wanted to change, they were ready to invest in themselves, she found that her ideal clients came, she could increase her prices exponentially. She literally tripled her price. And those clients are so much more fun to work with. Now, in the process of that, she had to come out on social media with some spicy opinions. And when I say spicy opinions, they were her real authentic ways that she thought about things. Like she was saying, look, you've been told that you can get results with imperfect action, but I don't agree. You've been told that you can get fat loss results. You can look the way that you want to look by not tracking calories. Now, these aren't necessarily opinions that I hold. I am totally ambivalent on the whole thing, but this was what she truly felt. She was like, my clients, they want results, they're going to have to do this, which is different from what everyone else is saying right now. Having those opinions and genuinely speaking so deeply from the heart and what you actually stand by, your values, what you believe in, that's what draws people in. So when you think, oh, if I say that, I might be offending people. Yeah, you might, but that's on them. We're all adults here. Like, you might be speaking to someone who is like, oh, not ready for that spicy opinion. I'm not ready to be called out. I'm not ready to be told that like what I'm doing doesn't work. Well, that's cool. That's why you don't get results. Whereas the people who are like, oh, right, well, that's maybe why I've never been getting these results, because I've been following the principles of messy action. Maybe I should actually have some strategy here. Maybe I should actually have some accountability. Maybe I should actually say no to some things sometimes. I need to make sacrifices if I want to get results. And that's what makes these our ideal clients. So, as I said, she had to come out with some spicy opinions. And she had a reel that went super viral, right? Okay, when I say super viral, I mean like on the whole scale of I have never gone viral. Like I am not good at going viral myself. I think this reel had some like 140,000 views, which is way more than she normally gets. It was her standing looking at her phone and she's looking shocked on her face. She's looking like, no, I'm not doing that. And I think the caption said something like, when the girls group chat is popping off about which Jules dress you're going to wear at the weekend, which I think is really funny. I think that's very funny, right? Okay. It's tongue in cheek. It's not nasty. She's just saying, I don't want to wear Jules. Okay. So if you don't know what Jules is a sort of, maybe I'd say like a country brand. My mum wears Jules. My mum's got lovely clothes, but my mum is also 70, right? My mum is 70 and she wears Jules. Jules is lovely. It's just very sensible. It's quite mumsy. And my client is about to turn 40 in a couple of years. And the whole point of this post was, look, if you're following me and thinking I've got my 40s ahead of me, you don't have to, succumb to the Jules lifestyle. You don't have to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm getting old. Well, I might as well just throw on a giant cardigan and a huge A-line skirt. Like, that's me. Life is over. No, you can ask for more out of life. You can grab life by the balls, hit the gym, start wearing those crop tops, start wearing clothes that make you feel young. That's essentially what she was saying with this post. It hit a few nerves in the Jules community. She got a few comments that were like, what's wrong with Jules? I'm not following you. This is nasty. What would her friends think? And yeah, you are going to get comments from people like that. But to be fair, none of those people followed her in the first place because it was seen by 144,000 people. And she has about, 2,000 or 3,000 followers. So these were all people that didn't follow in the first place. And these were all people who clearly were triggered by something that says to me, you need to go outside and touch grass, babes. If you are triggered by a reel about wearing Jules cardigans, please do not go on the BBC News app. This is the sort of thing that maybe I'm going to offend with, but some people need some real problems in their life. And those people are not the people that I necessarily want to have as my clients. If they are getting super upset about some reel they saw where someone said, I'm not going to wear Jules. Those are not the people that I want in my life. And I imagine they're not the people that you want in your life either. So what happened? It went viral. She had a few negative comments. She was quite worried about it. She posted in the client group chat. She's like, oh no, what should I do? And I was like, do nothing. Don't reply to those comments. You don't need to even give them any engagement. Reply to the comments that are there, that are positive. And there was a lot of positive comments. People being like, yeah, I love this. And the thing is, the caption was a totally uplifting, motivating caption. It was not punching down. It was lifting people up. It was saying, you don't have to have this. You're not destined for this if you don't want this. Now, if I wasn't her coach and I was just a random person seeing this, I would love this. This is speaking to me because I have friends that wear things like that. And I'm like, I am 35. There is no need for me to be wearing Jules yet. Give me another 35 years and maybe I'll consider it, but not right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll know that I am wearing a extremely low cut top right now. Probably inappropriately so low cut for Wednesday at 11:45. Another thing that happened was that she did actually sign a new client off the back of that post because her post was so so strongly calling in a very specific client. So you can see now how, yes, if you do have these spicy opinions, you are going to get maybe more eyes on your page. You are maybe going to have people go, oh, but you're also going to be speaking so directly to the people that do want to work with you. So yeah, you might lose a few followers, or yeah, you might have people say, no, this isn't for me. But that's cool. They were never going to buy from you anyway. And that's such a powerful thing to remember, is see if someone is so easy to click the unfollow button, they were never going to buy from you anyway. And the people that are on the fence, this is the type of content, this is the way of speaking that does push them over into wanting to work with you. So we're going to take a quick break, because if you're listening, I'm guessing that you're wanting to make some big changes in your business. Maybe you're hitting that income ceiling, you're working mornings, evenings, and weekends, and spending far too much of your free time stressing about your business. I get it. I've been right there with you, exhausted by my business and thinking that the only way to earn more is to work more, which is your idea of hell right now, considering how close you already are to burnout. This is exactly why I created the Liberation Lounge. It's a membership community for business owners like you who want to build a successful and profitable business on your terms. Inside the lounge, we're all about ditching the hustle mentality and creating real freedom. The freedom to work the hours that you choose. The liberation that comes with complete financial security, the knowledge of how to keep increasing it, and most of all, the confidence to push past your current limits and into new territories of income and impact. You'll learn how to take your business beyond the one way that people can work with you right now, and start building the foundations that allow you to make money while you're walking the dog, on date night with your partner, or cuddled up on the sofa watching Disney movies with your toddler. And I'll be there to guide you all the way, just like so many clients that I've worked with, to help them double and even triple their income while working less. Inside the lounge, you'll get live check-in sessions with me, monthly masterclasses on sales, mindset, and marketing strategies, social media prompts and scripts to turn your socials into a selling machine, instant access to the Freedom Formula course, full of video trainings to help you get your first 5 to 10 online clients, plus access to an incredible, cozy and close-knit community of business owners who are on the exact same journey as you. Sounds delightful, don't you think? And because you're one of my special She Is the Moment podcast listeners, I have an exclusive discount just for you. If you use the code She Is the Moment at checkout, you'll get your first month half price. Now, this is only for my amazing podcast listeners as a thank you for your support and loyalty, and I'm not going to be sharing this discount code anywhere else. So if you're ready to break free from the grind and build a business that supports your dream lifestyle, click the link in the show notes and I'll see you inside the Liberation Lounge. I can't wait to see you there. So, another thing that a lot of people do struggle with is the fear of judgment from friends and family, because when you're starting out in business, let's face it, probably the first people that will follow you will be your mum, your sister, your aunties, your dad, your friend group. And sometimes you can get distracted by what those people think. But I want to say this, and I say this with absolute kindness. Unless they are also in the fitness industry, in the online fitness space, and are successful in their own right, then please don't take business advice from them. Because they might be, as much as you love them, small thinkers. Your friends, your family, your mom, your parents, your elder relations, they have your best interests at heart. And what that might look like is sometimes them saying things that aren't helpful. Like, oh, should you really be posting that? Oh, should you really be saying that? Swearing is really unprofessional. Your parents might say things like that, or they might say, why are you selling all the time? That's weird. Why can't you just post pictures of your child? Well, they're wrong, okay? They're wrong. We need to be selling. And that seems like a very specific example, but it did actually happen to one of my clients. And she said, Sister, I love you dearly, but in order to feed and clothe my child, I need to sell on social media. So kindly take your opinion and shove it up your bum. I don't think she said that, but I think that was the general gist. But it's so easy for comments and things like that to get in your head and for you to be like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, I remember a family member of mine saying, I would never get a personal trainer. And I'm thinking, honey, it shows. It shows. Just because someone in your family is small-minded, we need to learn how to filter out those unhelpful opinions and surround yourself with people who are not small-minded, people who have big picture thoughts, who think instead of looking at what you do and thinking of the risk, looking at what you do and thinking, wow, she's putting herself out there and that inspires me and I love it and I want her to do more and more and more and more. One of the things that I do when I have a new intake of Unfucking Stoppable, my group mastermind, is I think for the first month, you should mute and unfollow any accounts that are not helping you with your business. And it is honestly such a game changer. I have curated my business page to only follow my ideal clients. I don't follow anyone else. I don't follow any meme accounts. I don't follow anyone in my family. I don't follow other coaches who are like not my ideal client, because every time you spend time looking at their accounts or, scrolling their page or reading their content, absorbing it, it is wasting your time and energy that could be spent on building your business. Now, if you are a bit scared to unfollow people because you don't want to cause an argument, the mute button is so, so powerful. They don't know that you've muted them. You can mute their posts, you can mute their stories, and it's wonderful. You will never see them. You won't see them. And they don't know it. It's wonderful. I recommend everyone does it. And even those people that you think, oh, do you know what? Their content sometimes does help me. No, unfollow them. Because I bet you also look at their content and think, oh, they're so much further ahead of me. And what happens if they saw my post? Would they agree? Would they approve this? I bet that's resonating with some of you. So it's time to unfollow. And I encourage you to unfollow anyone who isn't adding to your business right now. Curate your social media feeds so that it is just your ideal clients. Honestly, such a huge hack that I would recommend everyone does. So how do we overcome this fear? I genuinely think what really helps me is the thought that every time I have an energy leak, right? That sounds a bit disgusting, but you know that phrase, you are the product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So you'll think about those 5 people in your head. You'll be like, oh, okay, so my partner, my mum, my friend. Da, da, da. But I bet there's also someone who lives in your head rent free that you maybe don't see them physically, but you think about them all the time. You're letting your energy leak, and your energy as a business owner is so, so precious. Like, that is such a huge commodity. That's like your biggest commodity. So if you're letting that energy go somewhere else, that is stealing money from you. And that is a reminder that I always say to myself. It sounds like really extreme, doesn't it? It sounds like, oh, how are they actually stealing money from you? But they are, because it's stopping you from putting that energy that's wasted on thinking about them towards speaking to your ideal client and picking up new clients and scaling and building your business and making more money and having a freedom-filled lifestyle. The more you do that, the further away you're taking yourself from your goals. So that is how I remember that. So having super strong social media boundaries, remembering that this is a business, as soon as you accept that you're not going to be playing small anymore, you are not going to be acting like a side hustle momtrepreneur, you are going to be a big, important, professional business owner. You stop caring what other people think because that's what amateurs do, and you're not an amateur. You are here to have a successful business and make money. So, in order to do that, we have to be focused on our goal. That looks like selling, that looks like turning up and speaking to your ideal client. It looks like coming out with those spicy opinions that are different from everyone else and make you stand out from the crowd. So, my biggest piece of advice for you is a quote from RuPaul. My favorite quote: if they ain't paying your bills, pay them bitches no mind. Okay? Who's paying your bills? You and your clients. That is who we need to be caring about right now. You and your clients. You as the asset of your business, your clients as the people who you're running your business for, and your family, of course. Okay, here's the membership question of the week. I'm looking at a group coaching model, but a small group coaching of no more than 15, and hard to know whether to do continuous monthly or 8 to 12 weeks throughout the year. It's hard to know which is best, isn't it? Right, okay, so when you are doing launches, you can have two approaches. You can have an evergreen approach or you can have a launch, right? So evergreen is when you have the doors open all the time, so people can join any day of the month, any day of the week. It's not like the doors close at any point. Having a launch means that there is a start date, so people can sign up before that start date, and then once this program has started, the doors close and they can't get in until the next intake when you do your next launch. Now, having done both for group programs, I can say, hand on my heart, I much prefer having a launch and having the doors open and then close, because I really like the structure of a launch. Evergreen, I feel like works a lot better for your one-to-one clients. Say you have like X amount of spaces of one-to-one each month, you can like interweave talking about one-to-one in the middle of a launch, for example, or before a launch. But with a group program, I probably would recommend having intakes. I remember I had a group program. I would do like mini launches. This was before I actually knew what I was talking about, right? So people could join on the first of every month, and then that would be it. So I would talk about it for like 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of every month, and it would feel like such a grind and a slog, only to get like 2 people in every month. And then I decided to just talk about it all the time. It didn't necessarily make it any better, but that was just because I didn't know how to properly launch and sell a product. But now I do. Now I do. And I love a launch. I love the excitement of it. I love the FOMO that you can create. I love that you can be super dramatic. You can like put on a character. Like I just love that. Like it really speaks to the sort of performer in me. So I would probably recommend for this person that you do launches and also map out your entire year. This is something that I get all of my clients to do, is to like map out the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next year, so that you know exactly what you're going to be speaking about each month, but you can also work around your life, because there's nothing worse than being like, okay, so I'm going to run a new program every 8 weeks. And then suddenly you realize that you are on a 2-week holiday at the end of the 8 weeks, or in the middle, or you're going to be working through Christmas or your birthday or your child's birthday or something like that. So factor in, and actually this is what I do, I put my own big life events in that year plan first, And then I work my business plans around it so that I am truly living by my values of having a life first business, because my life is first. So definitely I would recommend each 12 weeks having launches. But this person has also just changed from the Liberation Lounge to Unfucking Stoppable. So inside Unfucking Stoppable, she will be learning launch strategy. Lucky her. So she will be nailing that. So that's me at the end of this podcast. I hope you have enjoyed. Please do me a huge favor and rate this podcast 5 stars. I would super appreciate it. I would appreciate it even more if you would share this episode to your stories and tell everyone about it, because that's really the best way for this podcast to grow and get more people listening to it, is if you recommend it to the people that you think would love it. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.